For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, PPS isn't closing any public schools, at least not yet. We're talking about why the district has decided to delay some of their biggest changes in years. Local businesses are offering free wedding services for queer couples who want to get married before Trump takes office again. Light Up Night is coming up this weekend, and there's a new, very Pittsburgh Christmas ornament you have got to get for your holiday tree. It's November 22nd, the Friday News Roundup. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast producers Mallory Falk.
Hello.
And Sophia Lowe.
Hey, Megan.
And we're here for our weekly Friday News Roundup, where we talk about the biggest, weirdest, sometimes funniest news of the week. So let's jump straight in to the surprising, to me at least, temporary conclusion of a very serious, very contentious proposal for our city's school district. So Pittsburgh Public Schools has decided not to close a single school for the upcoming school year. So that would be 2025-2026, that academic year.
Yeah, and so in case you missed this, PPS, they're worried about the future. Enrollment has been declining for a while now. Buildings are half empty. There just aren't enough students. The PPS actually has the capacity to serve double the number of students that are enrolled right now. Mm-hmm. So they recently hired these outside consultants to come in and come up with a plan. And those consultants recommended closing 14 schools and then consolidating a bunch of others, among a ton of different changes. But those were sort of the big headline recommendations.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously with closures on the line, a lot of families hated this plan. Some parents even came up with their own alternate proposal for the district. And I mean, it was my sense at least that there was this feeling that this was just all happening really quickly, like too fast.
Right. I mean, imagine like your kid has just enrolled in school. It's the fall. And then you find out that next school year, their school won't exist anymore. That's such a tight timeline.
Exactly. And that's something that was really confusing to me. Like announcing school closures in the middle of a school year sounds really complicated for students, teachers, parents, staff, like literally everyone. You only have a few months to prepare.
Right.
And just to be clear, you know, this proposal didn't call for closing every school immediately, like some of this was going to happen over time, but it did call for some of those changes and closures to start this coming school year. So, you know, I think PPS recognized what we've been saying and decided they want to slow things down. So Superintendent Wayne Welters just announced that there won't be any closures for this coming school year. Like you said, Megan, they're going to take more time reviewing the consultants' recommendations, and they're going to do this feasibility analysis to look at how the changes would affect things like transportation, attendance zones, and how financially feasible all this is. Because also, if the idea is to save money,
you want to be confident that it's actually going to do it.
Yes.
I mean, it's not funny, but I can't help but laugh a little bit because I can't believe they're doing another study to study the study.
That is exactly what happens when you bring consultants in, though.
I know. And Pittsburgh Public Schools has a long history of a lot of studies, but it boggles the mind.
So, you know, one interesting thing that stood out to me when I was looking at this announcement, Megan, you mentioned the alternate proposal that some parents and community members came up with. And when they first submitted it to the district, it was unclear, like to me at least, whether it was something the district would take seriously. But when they just announced that they were holding off on closures and doing this extra analysis, they did say they were going to take this alternate plan into account. I don't know whether that's lip service or a real commitment, TBD, I guess, but I do think it's pretty powerful that this group of parents was able to make enough noise and put together a serious enough proposal that the district can't just brush it aside.
Yeah, I think it's great that the district is going to listen to parents. I really hope that is that actual commitment because obviously they know their children and what those kids' needs are.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that this community proposal also calls for closures.
Yeah, it seemed to be like a real eyes wide open kind of plan. Like they acknowledge what needs to happen, but they were trying to do it in a slightly less painful way.
Right.
Maybe.
A way where I think they said one of their commitments is to trying to ensure that this process doesn't create school deserts, so that you're creating kind of neighborhoods or pockets of the city where there's not a school at all.
Yeah, because this parent plan calls for dividing the district up into regions, and then families can choose a school within their region. Public Source actually did a great job of like putting maps and lists together that made a lot of it make sense for me personally. I'm a visual learner, but I'm sure all of that, such as it was then, is subject to change now. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I went to one of these meetings where the consultants were getting community feedback, and a lot of the parents, when they approached the mic, did say, like, we recognize something needs to change. We know that the things are not working now. So like you said, Megan, that kind of clear-eyedness about this, there is recognition that something has to happen. But again, it's how exactly it happens and making sure that it is not the most disruptive to the most marginalized students, which is what often happens when closures take place. One last interesting point, we really didn't get into this, but the consultants also recommended phasing out a bunch of magnet programs. These programs that kids from all over the city can apply to. So for example, like Liberty, which is an elementary school, it's a Spanish language magnet. If you want your kids to learn Spanish, you might seek that out. Like everything else, phasing out these magnets is on hold for right now. And the district is holding a magnet fair in a couple weeks on December 7th.
Oh, interesting.
I imagine the vibe of that fair is going to be very different because like usually people are really excited to learn about all these school options. But like now it's just like kind of like, okay, cool, I can get really attached to this idea and it's just going to disappear in a few months or years.
Right. That's the thing is like the district themselves, they're saying like they can't guarantee that a kid who gets into a magnet program for this upcoming school year can stay there after that because these programs might change. They might get phased out. So I'm going to be curious if there's like a dip in the number of applications for magnet programs this year, kind of what effect that's going to have.
Yeah, I can imagine that might have like a cooling effect. Does it include SciTech and Kappa? Like SciTech's the 612 Science and Technology School that focuses on STEM. Kappa is the Arts High School downtown.
Right. No, so actually this focus is on phasing out elementary school magnet programs.
Okay, I wondered,
so some of these like popular established programs for older kids are going to stay. Although with SciTech, another piece of this plan is moving away from some of these schools that go from like pre-K through 8th grade or 6th grade through 12th grade. So for example, SciTech right now, it's a 612 school, but the idea is to just make it solely a high school 9 through 12. So even some of these schools that are sticking around might see some dramatic changes. So really a lot to dig into. But again, like at this point, we don't know which things the district actually will implement and on what timeline.
Today's show is brought to you by Handmade Arcade. Here on the CityCast Pittsburgh team, we love shopping small and local, and every winter you are guaranteed to see all of us at Handmade Arcade's annual holiday market. It's going down this year, December 6th and 7th, and you've got to put it on your holiday to-do list. Our crew has picked up all kinds of unique gifts there, like gorgeous handmade wooden cutting boards, a crocheted hat that makes you look like a cute little brown bear, ornaments, art, jewelry, candles, handbags, prints, even a calendar once with monsters like Godzilla taking over national and local parks. Like, it is the best. This year's market will feature over 275 makers, plus free activities and live demonstrations like beginner ceramics, glass blowing, and screen printing. Again, that's December 6th and 7th downtown at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Tickets to shop at the main event are free, but you do have to register, or you can be a VIP like me and shop early without the crowds. That's Handmade Arcade's Friday night preview party or during Saturday's early birdie option. Get all the information and your tickets at handmadearcade.org.
Stunning stalactites, stupendous stalagmites, flowing limestones frozen in time, formations that are bigger than most houses. Luray Caverns has so many jaw-dropping marvels, you have to see it to believe it. And after the awe and wonder of the caverns, explore local history at the Shenandoah Heritage Museum. Get a hands-on lesson in geology as you mine for gems at the Gem Sluice. See the oldest operating car in America at the Car and Carriage Caravan. And take a look at the simpler life on the streets of Toy Town Junction. For almost 150 years, families have been unlocking all the must-see wonders of nature that you can discover at Luray Caverns 365 days a year. Plan the perfect holiday adventure your whole family will love at luraycaverns.com.
So I think a lot of us are still processing the election, and we've heard from a fair amount of folks, I think, in our personal lives and in our feeds, worried about losing their rights under a second Trump presidency. I feel like in moments like this, one thing that at least I like to focus on is people in our community who are stepping up to try to help their neighbors and provide whatever form of care and protection they can, and also help encourage joy wherever they can. And in the last couple of weeks, there have been so many local businesses that are stepping up in this really great, really specific way.
Yeah, a lot of places and individuals are offering free wedding services for queer couples, or if these services aren't free, like very discounted.
Yeah, and this is for couples who may want to move up their wedding timeline to get married before Trump takes office, or who maybe weren't even planning to get married but feel like they have to lock in legal protections now. I actually know someone who's in the process of shifting from like a big fall wedding they were planning next year to a quick courthouse marriage because they're really worried about the future. So This is a real phenomenon.
And I think the fear that marriage equality might come under attack is also just, we should remember, a very legitimate one. We have two Supreme Court justices who previously said that they would like to revisit Obergefell, that was the decision that required states to recognize same-sex marriage.
Yes, those Supreme Court justices are Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. This was right after Roe fell that they kind of indicated this was something else they would like to revisit.
Yeah, the text of the decision includes this case and a couple of others. It's worth revisiting if you haven't read it in a while. Then there's also Project 2025. It's this policy blueprint for Trump's second term that a bunch of conservative organizations, including the Heritage Foundation, all put together. It does not explicitly call for an end to marriage equality, but it does call for stripping away a lot of hard-won LGBTQ plus protections. It also says that the Department of Health and Human Services should, quote, maintain a biblically based definition of marriage and family, end quote. I have mixed feelings about people in our Capitol determining what the Bible says for me, but that's
I don't
a
just have mixed
problem.
feelings. I have very negative feelings as a non-Christian in this country. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, during the presidential campaign, Trump distanced himself from Project 2025 and said he has nothing to do with it. But he has some very close ties to people who wrote the document and multiple people he's chosen for administration. Like, they need to be confirmed still. But, he said, I want this person serving with me, have their name on that document.
And then also J.D. Vance, who's about to be our vice president, back when he was running for Senate in 2022, he said he would vote against legislation that would guarantee same-sex couples the right to get married. So there's that, too.
Scary stuff.
So all of this, justifiably, I think is making a lot of people very nervous, very scared, contributing to anxiety. So again, this is where Pittsburghers are stepping up. There's been some great reporting on this in the Trib and in City Paper, and I've just seen a ton of posting about it in my personal social feed. So you've got wedding photographers offering free photos. So one photographer who was featured in the Trib is actually offering free 15-minute mini elopements. So she herself is ordained. She can do a quick ceremony, then get some portraits, sign and fill out the wedding license. If you want to do the marriage license here in Pennsylvania that requires that. Her name is Kitty Paul, and she owns a company called Requiem Images.
I love that you can do everything in one go in 15 minutes. And there's also a seamstress who does wedding alterations and gender affirming alterations. Her name's Katie Grimes. She owns Topaz Thimble, and she's offering free standard alterations for queer weddings. So things like hemming a wedding gown or taking in a wedding jacket.
I've also been following another one, Maya Lavro. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's spelled Lovro if you want to find them and follow. They do such beautiful work. They're offering free wedding portraits too. And I saw them post that they've actually had some other photographer friends step up in a way that's given them even more availability through the end of the year. I just think it's so rad.
I love that. One last one we wanted to shout out. City Paper actually did a whole profile of Harold's Haunt, which is the self-described ghostly they bar in Millvale. It's a bar and also a queer community space. And it is going to host emergency elopements next year from January 2nd to January 12th.
Yeah, this is really cool. They'll have everything you need for an elopement. So the owner and a couple community members will be there to serve as witnesses.
Because in Pennsylvania, you need 2 witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need, they can also officiate the ceremonies because they're ordained ministers. And then there's a suggested donation if you need someone to officiate, but that's only a suggestion. Otherwise, everything is free. I think they're going to maybe do some decorations or stuff. They seem to do very fun themed nights and stuff. So I think this is a space where there'll be some joy. I think it'll be very nice.
Yeah, I actually saw in that City Paper article that some couple was planning an emergency elopement there. And then they just said, why not keep the decorations up and keep the party going, which is really nice.
We will make sure to drop all of this reporting in our show notes in case you want to learn more. And if you're listening and you're offering any free services or discounted services yourself, please let us know. We would love to help you spread the word. You can hit us up at 412-212-8893. You can call or text. We will not answer, so please leave us a detailed message. Or you can email us. That's pittsburgh@citycast.fm. We really want to help share this because love is love, and we could all use more joy in our lives right now.
For over 50 years, Burlington's legacy has been great deals on coats for all weather conditions. So before you're caught unprepared for the winter weather, head to Burlington for name brands, quality items, and surprising fits for every family member. Stock up on coats, sweaters, and accessories before the cold hits, so you can finally stop avoiding the elements and start living comfortably. Warm up at your nearest Burlington location less than 1 mile away. Burlington. Deals, brands, wow.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Okay, on to something fun. This weekend includes Light Up Night. It's a big weekend in Pittsburgh.
It always throws me off that this happens in November before Thanksgiving because this event just feels so Christmas coded. I don't understand why it's now.
Oh, it's not even coded. It's just very Christmassy.
That's true.
But there are people with stuff on their lawns that's already Christmas, the minute after Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The holiday decorations and Christmas stuff has been in stores for a while, but there is so much planned for Light Up Night. Lights, more lights.
Yeah, exactly. So there are 2 main huge light displays. One is on the 3 Sister Bridges and another one is in Mellon Square. The bridge display this year is drawing inspiration from indigenous cultures in North and Central America. So each bridge is going to represent a goddess and a staple crop.
Ooh.
So for example, the Warhol Bridge is going to light up yellow and green to represent ocean, the goddess of beauty, art, and luxury, and then also to represent the way that maize or corn plants grow.
Wait, has Light Up Night always been themed like this? I don't remember this ever.
So I don't think this is a theme for Light Up Night as a whole, just for the light show on the Sister Bridges.
Was that themed last year?
It was themed last year, and last year was actually the first year. So this is a really new tradition. Because remember last year was when they had installed all of these LED lights on the bridges. It was this big project. So now they can do this special holiday light show. So the theme last year, the lights were meant to mimic the movement of our 3 rivers. This is an annual tradition I can really get behind. I like this idea of coming up with some creative theme for the bridges.
Yeah, that's really cute. I think the 3 Sisters Bridges look so nice lit up. It's nice to see them all cohesive.
They're very fancy now. I feel like they give us a much better view from the sky, you know?
A real glow up for these bridges, for these sisters. And then also Mellon Square, the site of this other big special light display. It's this new art installation called Aurora. It's got these archways with interactive lights that I guess they respond as people move or touch them, which seems cool. I always love interactive
an element
art
that I can interact with and touch and poke.
100%.
I'm so excited to see this. As we're recording this, I get to see it in a few hours and I'm so stoked.
Yeah, we get a special sneak preview. Can't wait. There's going to be a trolley that takes you from Mellon Square to Market Square and back if you don't want to walk that far.
Yeah, that's going to be running all season. So, once Market Square is up and running this weekend, weekend, you'll be able to check it all out if it's like raining or not ideal out there. Or
snowing maybe?
Or you just like public transit. You want to check out a trolley?
Yeah. And then Light Up Night itself on Saturday, that event is really spread out. There are different tree lighting ceremonies all over downtown, like one at the City County building, one at PPG Plaza, and then one on the corner of Stanwix and Penn. So on the side of the old Horns department store. Also, lights, and more lights. It wouldn't be a Pittsburgh event without not one, not two, but 3 Zambelli fireworks shows.
Yes. Zambelli, a Pittsburgh company.
So I've never been to the tree lightings. Are they worth it? Because I checked the schedule and the lighting ceremonies are like earlier in the night. And I was thinking of making my appearance closer to late night fireworks time.
I mean, I've seen the Horns one. I've seen the City County building one. They're both very wholesome. Like it feels a little bit like what I imagine maybe Times Square at New Year's is like, but like on a very small scale.
This can't really compete.
Like it's just like it's a big crowd. It's cold outside usually. And then you have people like oohing and awing at the same like sort of classic pretty thing that's, I don't know. It's a little anticlimactic, but it's also like just sort of like nostalgic. I don't know. I don't need to go back, but I enjoyed it the first time I went.
Okay, I will think about checking it out, but I think that's going to be a game time decision depending on what the weather looks like and how long I'd want to stay out in the cold.
I also highly recommend bringing your own beverage, particularly a hot one, and just having it tucked into your coat, perhaps.
Smart.
Sophia, if you do decide to show up, there is also music. I don't know if you were a Grey's Anatomy fan in the early aughts.
I could be a Grey's Anatomy fan now. It's still going on.
That's true.
It's true. But the headliner for this year, their shining moment was like 2005, 6, 7, something like that. That is The Fray. They were the soundtrack to some very iconic Grey's Anatomy scenes.
Is there usually a headliner to Light Up Night? I'm questioning whether I've even ever been now.
Yeah, Megan, there usually is a headliner. Maybe we're too like distracted by the tree lighting.
Apparently, I'm so embarrassed.
But also like last year, for example, the headliner didn't have a lot of name recognition. Philip Phillips, who's an American Idol winner.
No.
And then a couple years ago, it was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Okay, I'm not a mega fan, obviously, of Joan Jett, but I didn't know she was here. Like that one actually seems pretty cool.
Yeah. So, we got the headliners, the tree lighting. There's so much more going on. We don't really have time to get into everything. I didn't even mention the holiday market. But to me, the event that looks the coolest is this kind of early evening dance party on the Clemente Bridge, the 6th Street Bridge. It's from 4 to 6. DJ Ari Cole will be there, best known recently for performing at Kamala Harris's last rally on Election Eve in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. There's going to be food vendors, $5 drinks from Trace Brewing and Lawrenceville Distilling. I'm a new mom. I cannot stay up late anymore. So to me, a dance party that wraps by 6 p.m. sounds perfect. This might be the thing that draws me to Light Up Night.
I would love to go to a dance party on the bridge. I would rave on a bridge all night. That sounds great.
It sounds like you might be going to the early show, Sophia.
This changes things.
We'll end the show as we always do with something that we are thinking about heading into the weekend. Sophia, you kick us off.
I am thinking about gifts for the holidays, so still on, sort of Light Up Night holiday theme. For the past few years, local artist Toby Fraley has been making like a Pittsburgh-themed ornament. So last year it was a lantern fly. This year his release is the Century 3 Mall being demolished.
Does it have like a crane or like a wrecking ball in it? I'm fascinated.
No, there's like a little bulldozer pushing onto the actual building. So do not expect to see the mall in its glory days. And he's also re-releasing his sinkhole bus ornament from 2019 and like a special holiday edition of it. So there's a blue bus, there's a red bus, and then depending on which ornament you're getting, they're $32 or $50 and then also shipping. So you can order them from his website. That's tobyfraley.com, and Fraley is Fraley, or Google like sinkhole bus ornament. There are not that many out there.
I absolutely have a sinkhole bus ornament. I don't know if it's his, but now I'm going to look it up.
I really love that kind of the most iconic Pittsburgh scenes that are now getting turned into ornaments are just like our city falling apart, collapsing, being destroyed. It feels so...
It's of
Pittsburgh.
the moment.
Yeah.
So this legislative season is coming to an end. It officially ends on November 30th. And we're reaching that time of the year that I like to think about the bills that, just didn't make it through committee, through the House and the Senate. Because sometimes cool stuff gets proposed and we talk about them on the show sometimes too. This year, my picks are House Bill 272 and House Bill 2500. We're going to start with the latter. 2500 would have legalized recreational cannabis in Pennsylvania.
They should have made that House Bill 420.
Look, it's chronological. So
They could have added another zero. Make an exception.
4200 just for Sophia. Yeah, so that one's not going to come through. There was a local sponsor for it, but it never made it out of committee. 272, House Bill 272, also hurts most to me this time of year. That is the one that would have let Pennsylvania skip daylight savings and keep our sunshine.
Oh, that would not work for me if we were the only state that did this.
We're not the only state. This is something that gets proposed all over the country every legislative season. They've even thought about it at the federal level. It's very frustrating to me personally to lose an hour of sunshine and to end work and it's dark outside and you can't like go on a walk around the block now that you're no longer working. I hate it, Sophia. We are on different sides of this issue. Anyway, for both of these, I hope a legislator is listening and revisits both of these in 2025. That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Our music is by Benji. Mallory Falk is the executive producer. Sophia Lowe makes the show what it is. Francesca DeBecco writes that Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. And I am your host, Megan Harris. We will be back on Monday with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend, everyone.
I don't know what it is about human nature that when a screen's there, your eye just has to go to it.
I don't think it's human nature. I think we've been trained by the television.
Babies will teach you otherwise. It is weird.